It's a blessing to me that we should meet. I'd like to thank each in a seat and everybody on their feet. See, we didn't think we'd be doing this back in 2003, but hey, here we are on live stream Podbean, hitting it off like 80s melodies from Aretha and Tina T, talking about RESPECT that allows one to listen and for the other to speak. If we seek, we can find the pod poet that's inside. However, we should remember a poem doesn't have to rhyme. It can be a full page or just a few chat lines. You can be grown or a child. You or I may have the words the divine uses to save lives. But however you spend your time, right now, we are live. Welcome to the Pod Poets Lounge, spoken word and poetry game show. I am your host, Naquel. Today's date is January 30th, 2021. And you already know what it is. We are here because this is the place where we have fun celebrating our fellow poets. We have some great guests for you tonight. Two exceptional individuals are here to vibe and chill with us. You know, it's about the poetry. It's a trivia vibe. If you love trivia, this is the place to be. And we're going to have an interview to really, really get to know these artists on and off the stage. So this is the time where I need you to relax your mind because we're getting ready to stimulate it at the same time. Kick your feet up and get comfortable. You're in the lounge. You are in the lounge. How else can I put it? It's time to vibe. Yeah. Remember to check out our previous show's guest. The winner was R.Sen the Poet. She's on Instagram as r.sen. Dope, phenomenal poet and activist. She's definitely like what it means to do work on and off the stage. As our guests, as are our guests this evening, you will learn. The other guest from last show was Aim Zane on Instagram as Aim Zane Thoughts. Another phenomenal poet. Really, really gave us some great stuff. If you haven't already listened to the last show, please go ahead and check it out, or you can get a little taste from some of the clips that are on our different social media platforms on Instagram as well. Now, the winner of the last show, her prize was the feature in the Ink magazine. Tonight's winners also will be featured in the Ink magazine. That is the digital publication that comes out every month and features all things spoken word. So if you want to know what's going on in the world of spoken word, that's definitely the magazine that you need to have at your fingertips, swiping to get information on open mics. And it always has some really, really good content. One of the aspects of that magazine is the From the Grave series, where someone like a James Baldwin, I think the last person that they featured in that section was Gwendolyn Brooks, will be interviewed as if they were still present and with us. And it's great. It's really, really creative and a dope magazine. If you're a poet, if you're a writer, if you're into spoken word, for sure, go ahead and check that out. And it's growing in readership, and that's where our features will be showcasing their pen game, whoever wins tonight. So we will see. Shout out to God's Ink Spoken Word, who's doing his thing on that platform. The Pod Poets Lounge is spreading our wings a little bit. So you can check us out on Twitter. We flying over there, or tweeting. What would it be? Flying, tweeting, whatever. YouTube. Subscribe. That's one great way to support this podcast. We're on Facebook, Instagram, as I mentioned, and also doing our thing on TikTok. So you can share, you can comment, you can follow, subscribe to the podcast. Wherever you're listening to the podcast from as well. Really appreciate the support. Thank you so very much. Tonight's guests are patiently waiting. Let me unmute them, and let's get to know them. I'm really excited to meet these artists. As always, you guys know the vibe here is very unique. It's one of a kind. So we're going to make it what we make it. I want you guys to please give a warm Pod Poets welcome, warm Pod Poets welcome to Melodic Storm and Poem. Give it to them.
What up?
Hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
That's the news I want to hear. Very excited to have you guys. Thank you so very much for accepting the invitation. Been looking forward to it for a while now. We've been vibing in the chat, obviously getting to know each other a little bit. Really excited that we are finally at that point. So one of the things I like about the platform is that sometimes poets that come on, they just don't know each other. So it's a first time meeting and kicking it and getting to know each other. However, you two know each other quite well. So that's not happening tonight.
No.
Yep.
How do you guys know each other?
You want to go?
You want me to tell?
Yeah, you tell.
Okay. Poem is one of my best friend's boyfriends.
Okay. In the circle. Okay.
Yes.
Got you. Awesome. All right. So friends already on the program. I'm going to be the third friend, and we just going to have a bunch of friendly good time here. That's what we going to try to do. The mission is real simple, y'all. I want us to relax, kick back, and just chill. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good.
Sounds good.
All right, that's what's up. So Melodic Storm, I'm going to start with you. Beautiful sister. You are mother, poet, spoken word artist, and author. I know of Lyrics of My Heart. I don't know if there's any other publications. Are there?
No, not another book, but I've been featured in a couple of magazines.
Okay. Lyrics of My Heart. I was checking it out a little bit earlier, and I think you had a poem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Folks can get it on Amazon, right?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Indeed. I'll be sharing some links later on as well, where they can go check it out there. I think you had a poem in there called Black Girl Magic?
Yes.
Okay. Really like that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you accepting the invitation. Thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
I'm honored. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you don't really know me from, I'm not in the circle. You really don't know me from very far. We kind of just connected on Instagram.
Yes.
So yeah, it means a lot, the vote of confidence, I really appreciate it. You trusting my platform, trusting me. I'm humbled. Thank you.
Likewise, so am I. Thank you so much.
A pleasure. You are from the Bronx, the BX.
Yes.
How has growing up in the Bronx kind of like influenced your writing?
Growing up in the Bronx actually has influenced every part of my life. In all honesty, everything. Just my thought process, my family, my relationship with my family, the way that I view life in general. I think when you grow up in the Bronx, you grow up way too quick. That's first and foremost, because you have to be very aware of your environment and, what's going on. So you're always on guard. I guess it's a gift and a curse.
Okay. So there's dangers that force you to grow up faster.
Indeed.
Okay. I used to work in the Bronx.
Really? Where?
Barnes Avenue?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by Barnes Avenue, and was it 332, 32nd Barnes Avenue? I forget the cross street. But I used to do like some kind of like iron labor work in the Bronx. Yeah, Bronx can be a tough place. Yes, I have some tough people over there. Yes, yeah, kind of make you
Indeed.
get up if you will. Um, that's what's up. Okay. Are you still in the Bronx now?
No, no.
Okay.
I haven't been in the Bronx in probably since about 2001.
Okay.
I mean,
And you
I
got
visit. I have tons of family.
indeed. Do you it did you start well, I imagine you did if you were lived in the Bronx for a long time. You started like your poetry, your journey with poetry, sort of maybe finding out that you were a poet. Did that all happen for you in the Bronx?
It actually did happen for me in the Bronx. The funny thing is, my mother recently passed a few years
Mm,
ago. And
mhm.
when I was going through her items, I actually found a poem that I wrote her when I was about 8 or 9 years old. It was crazy.
Oh wow.
I was away
Mhm.
at summer camp and I was like, mommy, I hate it here. It was sleepaway camp. I was like, I hate it
Mhm.
here. I miss you so much, but I wrote you a little poem.
Mm, that is
I,
sweet. That's nice. That's
right.
dope.
I didn't
Okay.
recognize that until I found that. But the funny thing is, I really started taking writing seriously when I was about 16 years old. It was an outlet
Okay.
for me.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I find that to be the case for a lot of poets, a lot of writers. Um, it's a beautiful thing though because that's something you have to do. If you keep anything really bottled up, it can make you sick, so on and so forth. Um,
Absolutely.
nice. So, what are some things that you enjoy doing when you're not writing poetry?
Oh, let's see. So I'm huge on family.
Okay.
I enjoy spending time with my family and my children. That's like
Okay.
number one for me. I'm
Okay.
huge on. I have a very close knit group of friends that I've had for years. I'm talking about like
Nice.
25 plus years.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
treasure.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And just I love comedy. I
Okay.
love music.
What's your favorite type of music? Genre?
I don't have a favorite type of genre.
Oh no.
I lean towards R&B, but
Okay. Okay.
I love all music. I feel like music is universal
Absolutely, I agree
and
with
it
that.
transcends time. So I just think it's dope.
Hmm. I want to ask,
Hmm.
what's one of your favorite things about expressing your artistry for others?
Uh, I feel like it gives me a sense of freedom. I can be who
Okay.
I am. I can be naked, in all
Okay.
honesty,
Okay.
and I can give you my unadulterated truth, no matter what
Hmm.
it is.
Hmm.
Um, my goal is never to offend anyone because I
Hmm.
definitely believe that poetry is subjective.
Hmm.
You're opening up your innermost thoughts to someone else to interpret how they feel, whether or not they can relate to it. So,
Hmm.
I it's therapy, it's relief, but it's also I love when somebody can relate to my body of work,
Hmm.
and to me, it brings you closer to people in general.
Mm, lovely. Do you have something that you a piece that you can share with us right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. What? Okay. Are you looking for something light? Something.
We could start it off like
All right. Let's start it
get
off
into the
light.
mood a little bit. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. This is a. Hold on one second. This is a.
Sure.
Let's see. This piece is called "I Want to Get to Know You Better." Well, I
That's
want to
what's
get to know
happening
you
tonight.
better.
We're getting to know these folks better.
All right.
All right. All yours.
Okay. Excuse me. I want to get to know you better. I can't believe I'm sitting here writing this potential love letter. The thing is, I don't know that much about you, but the possibility of loving you gives me chills, and I can't stop thinking about you. You've helped me peel back this thick layer of pain, distance, and despair that was corrupting me, suffocating me, and I was fully aware of its existence, its draining powers, and the bitterness that had crept into my heart, my soul, my being. You had me wanting to run away so fast, because for the first time in over a decade, my eyes were finally seeing that all men are not the same. All men are not playing the same game, but I'm still afraid of opening Pandora's box. I've been dipping and dodging this path of potential pain like a sly fox. For many years, masking fear with fuck him. I don't really care. But the truth of the matter is, if I allowed myself the pleasure of caring, it would literally kill me if my love chose not to be there. Your open, honest approach on life, love, and all things in between had me stuck on stupid. Shit. I feel like I was pulverized by Cupid. I want to get to know you better, but I feel like I've known you for an eternity. I know it seems strange because that's not even reality. To this strong black woman, vulnerability seems like a curse. Man, if I could bottle up my feelings, I would roll them up and stuff them right in my purse. Thank you.
That's the end of piece.
That's the end of the piece.
All right. Yeah. That's a perfect. I'm trying to just think in my mind. I'm trying to describe like food that you would start a beautiful course with, like just a perfect light start entree to a meal. That just a food for thought. That was lovely.
Thank you. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
that. Indeed. What you think, Poem?
I already read her last book, so ain't none of it a surprise at all. You know, I'm listening for the affirmation, not for the education.
I feel it. I
Because
feel it.
I already know it's already been affirmed from what I've read before.
I love it. One of my favorite lines in there was actually when you mentioned helping you help. I think you said help me peel back a layer. And it made me think back to when you said earlier about being able to be open, speaking your truth, that nakedness, that vulnerability. And then later on, you said all men are not the same. So it's not anyone that can make you feel that. It's got to be special. Got to be special.
Absolutely.
It's a passionate piece. Beautiful way to start it. Thank you once again. Appreciate it. So, Poem, as you said, brother, you know this beautiful queen because you guys know each other, but also you share the love for the art as well. Guys are both, phenomenal artists. You also are an author. I saw that you have several publications. You have, let me see, The World as I See It, and that's I with EYE, which makes me think about the third eye. Kind of, it's understanding something deeper. The Long Way Home, as well as I think your first collection was that The Execution of Revolution.
Yes, it was.
Profound title, brother. Profound title. Did you?
I don't know how I came up with a title. I forgot exactly.
I was just gonna say.
That led to me naming it that.
Yeah. Did anyone else?
It's been a splash for people.
It what?
It's been a splash. Everybody I talk to like, wow, that's the name of that book. How'd you come up with that name? And I don't know. I honestly just I thought of executing it. I don't know. I just thought it sounded cool. It wasn't even no deep meaning.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, that's what it's gonna be.
Yes, it happens like that sometimes. But definitely drew my attention. Made me think about The Last Poets. They wrote content along the lines of not being ready for revolution.
Right.
In a sense, like those who should be. So it's like, why are we talking this revolution talk if y'all ain't ready? Y'all ain't ready for no revolution. It kind of gave me that, reminded me of that. So your pen is just powerful, brother, and busy, obviously doing your thing. And you're a busy man. So I also just want to say thank you. I appreciate you accepting the invitation. Similarly,
it's my honor, man. You give me a platform to people to hear me, so I'm ingratiated for that. Definitely ingratiated to you for that. Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome, man. It's really part of why I created the platform was really to have something that a space I could share with fellow poets that I respect and appreciate, lift them up, and just have some fun while doing it. So that's why we're here. And how's the day treated you so far?
Days treated me well. I've been running around getting ready for a birthday party.
Okay.
Girlfriend turned 31
That's what's
on
up.
the
That's what's up.
21st, and we plan to have a
Nice.
party the day on the 30th. So I was getting ready for that most of the day.
Okay.
Resting, always like to get as much rest as I can.
Yeah, I got a
So
little
I
bit
go
of
back
that
to
into
work
there, a
on
little
Monday.
bit.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That's pretty much it. So.
And when you say work, you're an educator. Is it that work?
Yeah, that's part of my work. That's one of my the many hats I wear.
Yeah, bro. It is one of the. Yes. So as I mentioned, the publication. So author. You're also a poet. You're also a publisher, and an educator.
Yes.
And currently from reside in Newark or just from Newark?
I reside in Newark and I'm from Newark. I was born in Newark. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, what influenced you to get into education, to become an educator?
It was really out of desperation. When it started, I was 2 years removed from graduating college. Was really struggling finding work at that time. My license was suspended.
Okay.
So I'm going around trying to find all different kind of work. Nobody's bringing me in. It feels like I really thought that my license being suspended was the reason why I was struggling with work. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So on unemployment, and then I remember my aunt was telling me about becoming a substitute teacher.
Okay.
Like they don't really need, they don't really, ask for any kind of, your license doesn't matter, anything like that. Just go and try to see if you can get in there, because once you're in there, other opportunities open up for you. So I went, I got the teaching certification from New Jersey, state of New Jersey, and that's how I started, just substitute teaching, and it escalated and grew into other fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What age group do you teach?
I teach from about junior high school through high school, but I sub for all ages, K through 12.
Okay. Do you have a favorite sort of age group that you like to work with, teach?
um, I don't really have a preference, but I'll tell you what I don't like is
Okay.
busybody little kids. Some little kids be when you gotta sub on the pre-K side or sub with the 5 to 7 range or like 5 to 9 or busy answering questions 100 times. So I always take the older kids over that.
Okay.
They kind of know what they need to do already. But yeah.
Right. That's funny. That's what's up, man. Sounds like you really love what you do. And I know you love the next thing I'm gonna ask you to do, and that is to, if you could please share something with us, share a poem with us, if you have something.
Okay, yeah, I have something.
All right.
Let's see. Inside my head, the only place I need to go to find where the most bountiful gardens grow. The clouds and sky ground beneath my feet. If I get to heaven, I'll have a seat. Until then, I'll stand on sacred lands lassoed by golden DNA strands, gripped by Alexander the Great's hands, sipping mimosas with Osiris. Life is a flight, but you discover the destination as you go, as you grow. Does your mind follow? Stand proud or shamefully by the seas you sow. Fortune, good or bad, is not preordained. Get that fate and soulmate-ish out of your brain. What you feed your mind might explain the direction of your plane. Takes a big man to identify, then Clorox his stains. Pain is looking back while pressing forward, having to live with things now you could have changed. Inside my head, revival of the dead, ghostly visions never put to bed. Every promise not honored, every I love you unsaid. Revival of the dead, from reality I never fled. Peace never found me still, only found my will screaming in voices, loud and shrill, haunting me, whispering, kill or be killed until my soul is reunited with the ghosts that weren't invited. My past be a casket unsealed with love still for those with whom it went unrequited. Inside my head.
Heavy. Very introspective. I like that line.
Thank you, man.
Appreciated that. You said you said several things. One of the things that stood out, it was what you feed your mind.
Yeah.
Um,
If you feed your mind, might explain the direction of your plane. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
hmm I was talking to my young son about that earlier today. Such as choices. Sometimes you really have a choice in how you feel. What you're telling yourself, the conversations that you're having. And I was letting him know, like, you don't have to. He was kind of like in a little bit of a rut because I beat him in Super Smash Brothers, right?
Yeah, that put me in a rut too, man. Definitely. I cried for
But
a week straight about that one time. No, go ahead.
um, he's passionate about the game. He does his best, and the odd thing is, he beats me. You know what I mean? He has his moments where I barely get a hit in, and he's boom, boom, boom. But he forgets that completely when he loses. He forgets that he has the skills. He forgets that he can chart his own path, and then he might not want to play again. It's just a small example, um, but a powerful line. You know,
Yeah, man.
Indeed. What inspires you, man, when it comes to you picking up your pen and talking to the people?
Well, I mean, I happen to have the misfortune of having grown up around a lot of people who could not articulate the lives that they were living,
Mm,
the day to day experiences that they were having.
hmm
And we all kind of grew up and flourished around each other, but that was an ability that came much more readily available for me than for
hmm
others like me who have had the
mm,
same experiences I've had. So I just felt like I need to be a mouthpiece for that segment um,
okay.
of the community and people that I know. The other part of it was, really, I needed
It's
a
deep.
vessel. I needed a vessel
Mm-hmm.
um, to kind of melt my pain into.
Mm,
I
mm-hmm,
needed
mm-hmm,
I needed something to hold those emotions where they
mm-hmm,
could do some positive
mm,
and productive good and bring that because otherwise the stuff would have consumed me. Things I've seen
yeah.
uh, from birth. With my family, with
Mm-hmm,
friends,
mm-hmm,
and
mm,
I started finding out that hey, I have the means by which I could talk about this stuff and maybe in the process enlighten a few or embolden a few
mm-hmm.
with what it is I have to say.
What's the reception like when you let it out, when you spill, when you reach out, when you pour and you reach out to make that connection, to uplift somebody else, motivate somebody else who may not have been able to articulate their life experience? What's usually the reception that you get from people who listen to your work?
And increasingly, one of just mass appeal and love.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
where I
mm,
didn't at
no
one point
doubt.
I didn't think I was getting my just due early on when I was trying to like come up as an
Mm-hmm,
author. A lot of
mm-hmm,
people that you think are gonna readily support
yeah.
your movement, they
Mm-hmm,
ain't in your corner like you thought they'd be.
okay.
And I was coming from grassroots. I never really even thought of poetry to be something that could potentially,
Yeah,
have any more of an impact than
yeah,
what it's had in my life. I'm like,
yeah.
we looked at hip hop and in my community and
Mm-hmm,
people I was surrounded by, we look poetry to us was hip hop.
right, right.
And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
poetry wasn't Shakespeare. It wasn't even Langston Hughes or Maya Angelou.
mm-hmm,
We thought that stuff was antiquated when I was a
mm-hmm,
teenager.
mm-hmm,
If you couldn't spit a bar unless you was Nas, you wasn't a poet, or Jay, you wasn't a
mm-hmm,
poet. Until I got old enough and started discovering more and more about the genre and people
mm-hmm,
who were great at it before me. Um, then it started to be like, wow, the stories that we all tell is what bonds us. That's like the nexus. That's
Mm-hmm.
the point of connectivity
Mm-hmm.
that kind of allows us to understand that we all are human
Mm-hmm.
and that we're all suffering. Because everybody has their own unique story to tell. It's the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that really, I guess, brings balance and a center of gravity, to all of us. That's much needed.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Indeed, powerful, powerful. Very well said, man. Touch on a lot there. Indeed, man. Oof. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, because I could relate. I also did not think, not I did in my life said like poetry was gonna was I barely remembered poetry like after out of high school, um, but it was through hip hop. Like my sister's boyfriend
Mm-hmm.
was a producer, so I'd be around, when beats are being made from scratch, and then I would hear artists come through and write, literally right there. They would start writing to the beats and that sort of thing. And it was really just one day me trying it out for myself, not really to rap or anything, but just writing my thoughts. And that was the beginning for me. But it opened a whole new world. I think it's a beautiful thing when our minds are able to really expand in that way and see just how much more the world has to offer us. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I love that that's what it's done for you, and that you keep that in focus, and that's a part of your message.
Yes, sir.
Because it's so much to spread. It's enough of it to go around, for sure. Beautiful, bro. I
Yes,
appreciate that
sir.
very much. And dope piece, man. Dope piece.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Yeah. Checking out the Pod Poets Lounge. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at the Pod Poets Lounge. Vibe with us wherever you listen to podcasts. We are here lounging with Melodic Storm and Poem. Amazing poets, and they are ready for the game. They are ready for the game. Are you guys ready for the game? It's officially game time. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. It's a few categories tonight to choose from.
Okay.
They are the Stuff Folder, Amiri Baraka, IG Poet, and Quote and Mo Quotes. The poets are going to pick a category. I'll read and I'll share the question. Or we might actually listen to something. That the question might come from something we listen to.
Okay.
The first round is going to be all group questions. That means all the poets will lock in their choice and tell me out loud, or they can type it in the chat. There'll be 1 point for each correct answer, and the questions can be multiple choice or true or false. If you are tuning in, please play along. And how does that sound? Melodic Storm and Poem? You guys good on the rules?
It sounds all right. It's all right. All right.
Okay. I think it'd be nice to start with a little test question, just to ease into things. So I put one together here that I'm going to share for everybody. And there kind of is a right or wrong answer, but there kind of isn't with these test questions, right? So here it is. Your question is, why did the math book look so sad? Was it A, the stained hands and mouth of number 7, who we assume, of course, 8, 9? Was it B, because of all its problems? Or was it C, because poetry is the subject of conversation lately? Why did the math book look so sad? What
Oh
do you think?
man, I'm gonna go with C, man. I'm gonna go with C.
Okay. Few people, okay. Went with B. Poem got C. What do you think, Melodic?
I'm gonna go with B.
You're gonna go with because of all its problems. So this had some really, really good answers. This was not easy, but the answer is C.
Ah, already.
On the board. Well, not technically, but feeling good. Feeling good. This is the momentum that you
Why
want to
was it?
start to pick up.
Why was it C? That's what I want.
Well, there was really no right or wrong answer here. So it's C for no good reason. Because it could have been all of its problems,
Mm-hmm. Definitely
you
could
know.
have.
But at the same time, everybody's talking about Amanda and that dope poem. They still thinking about Brandon League. They're like,
That's where my head was at.
Math is not even in the conversation.
That's where my head was at. Yep.
So, but this was just a test to, you know what I mean, get us ready. Okay. So the next one is gonna be the official.
All right.
Official. And the category is going to be selected by the Queen, Melodic Storm. If you'll be so kind, what category would you like to select for us, my dear?
Oh, I don't know. The stuff folder, I guess.
You got it. Let's head over there. Okay. Here you go. Carol Ann Duffy is a playwright, poet, and former professor, but she is also, is it A, she worked as a poetry critic for The Guardian, B, she earned an honors degree in philosophy, or C, she worked as an editor of the poetry magazine called Ambit, or D, all of the above?
I'm going to go with D, all of the above.
Okay. We've got D.
Yeah.
Same as you?
Same as me. I'm going D.
Oh, everybody's going with D. Okay. Nicely done, everyone. That was correct. You got it. All right, poem. You are up.
All right. Same. Or do I get to choose the?
You can choose whatever category you'd like.
Okay. What were the categories one more time? It was Mary Baraka, stuff folders.
Yep. IG poet, meaning Instagram poet, and then quotes and more quotes.
Give me quotes and more quotes.
All right, you got it. So pretty much these are going to be quotes from poets. Doesn't have to necessarily be poets. Could just be authors and or musicians, artists. You just got to try to tell me who it's from. So here we go. First one. Poetry is the revelation of a feeling that the poet believes to be interior and personal, which the reader recognizes as his own. Who said this? Was it A, Vibes Cartel, B, Langston Hughes, C, Salvatore Quasimodo, or D, Neil Diamond?
That's tough.
Little tough. Mama, thinking C.
I'm gonna go with B.
Okay, with B. Going with Samurai. All right.
Yeah. B.
And what do you think, Melodic Storm?
I'm going to go with B as well.
Langston?
Yes.
Okay. This one was actually C. Salvatore Quasimodo.
Okay.
All right. You are up, Melodic. What category for you?
Quotes and more quotes.
Okay. Watch this short video. So poetry. This is a good one. Poetry should surprise by a fine excess and not by singularity. Poetry should surprise by a fine excess and not by singularity. Was this a quote from A, John Keats, B, Amiri Baraka, C, Gwendolyn Brooks, or D, Thomas Hardy?
Another tough one.
We've got C and B.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
I'm gonna say John Keats.
3, 2.
What was that, Melodic?
1.
I'm gonna say John Keats.
Okay, you're gonna go with A.
Yes.
Fantastic. And Poem said C.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got this one. Melodic Storm. That was John Keats. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Okay. Poem, I think you are up for a category.
What round is it? It's the second round?
We're still in the first round.
We're still in the first round. Okay. Let me get the stuff folders. Get that.
All right, you got it. Okay, so the stuff folder is a mix. It can be different categories, not necessarily categories that are here tonight. So this question would normally come from a category called Word Whiz.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, what term would you choose when coming across the line, "The soft sound of the sea soothed my troubled soul"? Is this A, assonance, B, onomatopoeia, C, a euphemism, or D, alliteration? What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna go with D.
D, okay.
Hold on.
And Melodic? Are they both going with D in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
Melodic. Oh,
I'm gonna go with D.
D as well?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are all correct on this one. That is alliteration. Okay. Category from Melodic Storm, please.
Okay. I'm going to go with IG Poets.
Okay. Let's get that up. So this category is questions that are formulated around poets or poets posts or poetry events, different things like that. That's taken from Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. First question is, which IG poet said this? Quote, "Our backs tell stories that no books have the spine to carry." Was it A, at Natasha Writes, B, at Maury Tai, C, at My Crumbled Thoughts, or D, at D Black DX, aka David Roberts? Prolific brother. Who said this?
I'm going to say D.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with D on that.
David Roberts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This one was actually A. These came from a sister, Natasha Wrights, who actually was on the show as well.
Okay.
All right. Poem, another category, please, sir.
You've been avoiding the Amiri Baraka one. I don't think you picked one Amiri Baraka one yet. So I'm gonna break the ice on that.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So finish the line. The questions will vary. This category is all about him, though. We might listen to a poem, finish some lines, or it might be some trivia about him, his life. In this case here, I want you to finish this line if you could for me. Quote, "This is said to us, even as this counterfeit president has legalized the blank." Does he then say A, Confederate flag in Mississippi, B, destruction of statues across the country, C, not showing your tax returns, or D, the mistreatment of men and women? This is said to us, even as this counterfeit president has legalized the Confederate flag in Mississippi, legalized the destruction of statues across the country, legalized the not showing your tax returns, or legalize the mistreatment of men and women. Little Mama thinks it is A.
Let me see here.
Samurai thinks it is D.
think I'm gonna go with D as well.
Okay. And Melodic Storm.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Put a little pressure on.
6, 5,
Squeeze.
4,
Squeeze.
3, 2,
Don't.
1.
I'm gonna say D as well.
B or D?
I said D as in David.
Okay. Close, but no, this one was actually A. Little Mama got this one right.
Little
This
Mama, go ahead.
is said to us even as the counterfeit president has legalized the Confederate flag in Mississippi. Okay, and that category came from poem. Okay, let's get one more category out of this round. Melodic Storm, do us the honors.
Okay, I'm going to go with the stuff folder. I like the stuff folder.
Okay. All right. According to WatchMojo.com, the fastest rapper was listed as A, Doja Cat, B, Eminem, C, Twista, or D, Busta Rhymes.
Oh, I'm gonna say D, Busta Rhymes.
Okay, we've got 2 for Busta Rhymes. Okay.
Yes.
We'll go C, Twista.
Okay, we've got Twista, and somebody said Eminem. Okay. Nobody thinks Doja Cat got it like that? What?
Not up against the other 3. Yeah.
Right.
All right. T and Tamara. No, that's not fast enough. Okay. You are correct if you said C for Twista.
Oh my God!
Right.
Oh wow!
Correct.
Oh wow!
That's right.
Nicely done, poem. Nicely
Representing
done.
Chi-Town. Chicago.
Beautiful
Windy
first
City.
round.
Yeah.
Very well played. And you know what? We are actually tied up, poem and Melodic Storm, both currently at 3 points. So it's a close game.
Okay.
Indeed. And the crowd was doing their thing as well. I feel like they helped you guys out with some of these. What would you say? Is that a fair statement?
I agree.
I agree. You see too many A's and too many B's, and it's like I'm going to be with B too.
Right. C is the most
You
common.
know something I don't know. Yep.
I love it. I appreciate you guys in the chat for participating. Thank you so much. Love the support. It means the world to me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the wonderful Melodic Storm and poem authors, poets tonight for some spoken word and poetry trivia, better known as the PodPoets trivia. Kicking it right now. We just got out of the first round, and I'm just excited still to get to know you guys even more. I really was hoping I could get to everything in the bio because there's so much that y'all do. But we're going to definitely save some time later on to make sure you share whatever else you'd like with the listeners. Let folks know where they can find you. All of that good stuff.
Okay.
So yes, that's
excellent.
coming. If you are in the chat and you'd like to call in, you can do so. If you have questions for our guests, or if you want to post your question in the chat, you can place it there. I'll try to incorporate it as well into the program. Try to get to all of them. If you have questions for any upcoming guests, or just want to shoot me an email, you inquire about something, you can do so at the podpoetslounge@gmail.com. And if you actually send us questions that way, I'll incorporate them into the show and shout you out as well if you have questions. So phone lines are open to call in. Feel free to do that when you're ready. I have a general question that I kind of wanted to just ask both of you, and it's about 2020. I know 2020 was that roller coaster. Might be an understatement, actually, roller coaster. But what, and I guess we can start with you, poem. What thing were you most thankful for? If you could say, answer something like that, what would you say you're most thankful for in 2020?
I was thankful for the reaffirmation that that I needed, and I think that everybody needs, which is every moment must be cherished. and every
Mm-hmm.
day must be valued, like wanting to get to Saturday, you have to love Tuesday as much as you love Saturday, because
Gems,
life is
gems.
fleeting. It's fleeting.
Yeah.
So I think they really got us in tune, and it got us in tune with our health a lot more too. I think, things that, we don't take it, enough time with under, I guess, what you would call normal circumstances, or now
Mm-hmm.
things that you have to be cognizant of, touching
Right.
the door handle, washing your hands, not knowing what germs, and, being
Mm-hmm.
more cognizant, of those kind
Mindful.
of things,
Absolutely.
so that you can keep
Yeah.
yourself healthy as possible. Those things probably wouldn't have been going on if
Mm-hmm.
not for COVID. I
Mm-hmm.
lost my mother, my grandmother, but she really is the one who raised me. She actually
Oh,
had
my
a stroke on New
condolences.
Year's Day
Mm.
and passed away 8 days later in the hospital. So she passed away a little before COVID began. So
Okay.
that was how my 2020 began, like literally
Oh,
on New
wow.
Year's Day, with
Mm.
that happening. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a hell of a year, but
Mm-hmm.
to still be here, to be healthy, and to be
Mm-hmm.
aware. I
Mm-hmm.
think aware is probably the word that everybody,
Mm-hmm.
will probably
Mm-hmm.
will align themselves with when it comes to this past year. Is got to
Mm-hmm.
up
Mm-hmm.
our awareness,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to a lot of different things. Keep ourselves
Indeed.
around.
Indeed, indeed. That's the wisdom of the knowledge. When you learn something, being able to then apply it, and if we got a lot of knowledge and learned a lot in 2020, 2021 is the year of applying it, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. That's a
Yeah,
gem right there for sure. Yes, indeed. I think 2020 sat a lot of people down, and they had no choice
yeah,
but to slow down, become more conscious and aware, as you so eloquently put it, bro. I can relate. Yeah, yeah, it was definitely a rough year. I I lost my cousin's mom passed away. My One of my coworkers, former coworkers, his dad passed away. Um, yeah, a couple of people close to me, but there was so much to be thankful for. When you kind of really saw the magnitude of what was taking place and what's still going on right now. Um, but all right, I want to ask you the same question, Melodic Storm. What would you say you are most thankful for from 2020, if there's something?
I think I'm most thankful for life
Mm,
and the opportunity to enjoy and correct any misgivings
mm-hmm,
tomorrow. Um,
mm, deep.
I'm thankful to be able to for 2020 in general. I'm thankful that I'm still here to
Yes.
just focus on life in general because life is short. And in all honesty, um, I don't think I've ever had the chance, being a parent, to
Mm-hmm,
spend this much time
mm-hmm,
with my babies.
mm-hmm.
I mean, morning, noon, and night, every meal, etc., happens here. And
Yeah.
no, seriously, in my 20 years of being a parent, I don't
Mm-hmm,
think I've ever spent that much time with my kids because, unfortunately,
mm,
due to the circumstances and just the climate of this country, we all
mm-hmm,
have to work.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We all have to work so many hours, and to be
Right.
able to spend that time is of the essence, so precious and so rare. I love that poem because
Yeah.
it just it was so relative in
Yeah.
2020, and I'm thankful that I did get that time to spend with them, and they
Mm-hmm,
will remember basically going through history,
mm-hmm,
living
mm-hmm,
history. There were so many historical moments in 2020.
mm-hmm.
And to be able to be here and sit with them and discuss the climate, the
Yeah. Wow.
presidency, the election,
Yes.
etc. Just people being so mean and so rude and just so ruthless, and being able to actually have that time to spend and soak into them. And it was again, I say, a gift and a curse, because it was just so tragic, but then so meaningful in the same instance. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Very deep. You mentioned, and you're speaking about family. One of the things I learned about you is, and you spoke to it a little bit earlier in the program, is how much of a family person you are. But more particularly, I found out that the matriarchs of your family have had a great deal of influence on your love for music, reading, writing, and dance.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Um,
Indeed.
so in terms of, I guess, dance, what type of dance? What type of dance do you do? What type of dance do you like? Maybe like to watch?
I like all different forms
Okay.
of art in general, but in regards to dance, I've been to modern jazz dance classes,
Okay.
African dance.
Okay.
Growing up, my mother's best friend was a dancer for Alvin Ailey. So, I mean,
Oh,
I've been
really? Okay.
exposed to a lot of different, just a lot of the arts. She always kept me in something, always kept me busy.
Got you. What are some things you like to dance to? Some songs or artists that you like to dance to?
I like to dance to R&B. I like to dance to reggae. I like to dance to soca.
Okay.
I like to dance to hip hop. You catch me in here just getting it in.
That's what's up. Okay. I love to dance myself as well.
Okay.
I was wee little boy. Yeah, man. My knees ain't as good as they used to be. That's the only problem now. That's probably the one thing that's changed. I want you to also tell me, if you could, what are some authors that you like to read?
Ooh.
One or two.
Okay. I love Maya Angelou, of course.
Okay. Okay.
I love Toni Morrison.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Sister Soldier, of course.
Okay.
I love her books. I think it's definitely very relative, regarding urban life. I love that. I like to be able to relate to the books that I read, and I also like to be able to escape from my little world and move into something or someplace different.
Okay. I want to ask you about Lyrics of My Heart.
Yes.
Tell us about that a bit. What inspired that work?
So, all of the different pieces in that book, some are based on my life, some are loosely based on my life, and some are
Okay.
based on just experiences that, my friends or family have experienced. In all honesty, I'm a sounding board for a lot of, people in my life.
Yeah.
And sometimes I guess I feel like poets are like empaths. We take on everything from everybody else. It may not necessarily be your experience, but you can definitely relate to it. And sometimes there was one piece, the title escapes me, but my cousin called me and she was going through something, and she was like, I really want to tell you how I feel, and I want you to see if you can write a piece for me to express what I'm feeling, because I cannot articulate what I'm feeling to this person, and I need your help. And I was like, okay. So I sat and I took it all in, and the next morning I probably got up about 3:00 in the morning and wrote this piece. It woke me up out of my sleep. Yeah. Okay. I wrote this piece and I texted it to her, and she was like, oh my God, you hit the nail right on the head. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And I actually was able to incorporate that in my piece. So I thought that was pretty dope.
Yeah, that is dope. That is very dope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay.
Very
Actually,
dope.
we're on this topic actually of writing, do you have something else that you can share with us?
I actually do.
Yes.
Okay. So my pieces are definitely pretty short. Um,
Mhm.
but just because we were talking about, the election and just the climate of this country, etc. This
Yes.
piece is called Blast from the Past.
Okay. Give it to us.
Okay. And just like that, it was all a memory. The unforgettable times, the protest, the blood, sweat, and tears our ancestors chose to invest, the boycotts, the speeches, the marches our people chose to pursue to enable rights and liberties for me and you. I never fathomed the thought of seeing an African American president in the White House in my lifetime, elected into office of a country that's given us joy, peace, and pain at the same time. We are descendants of powerful leaders. Why do we pretend that we are blind? Going on shopping sprees, on Black Friday standing in one line, remaining silent when atrocities occur and are obvious right in your face. It seems like the hands of time are rewinding and progress is being erased. Instead of standing firm and putting your money where your mouth is, most choose to remain silent, to pacify the masses and rock those expensive designer glasses. Burying our sorrows in materialism and misogynistic tomorrows won't elevate us to the top of the class. It will leave us begging, borrowing, stealing, broken, and regressing 67 years in the past.
Mm.
All right.
Mm. Food for thoughts.
Mm.
How do you feel about the prospects with the new administration? Just generally, optimistic, kind of watch and see, or no change? Expecting no
Um,
real change.
I'm going to go with blind faith and I'm going to say that I'm optimistic
Okay.
because I will say this. I've never seen a leader actually um, point out injustice and actually admit that it exists. Most people just glaze over it, it's whitewashed. And I appreciate the fact that I will say that Biden has actually admitted that things are wrong and that this country has done, and this country has just been cruel to people of color in general. He admitted that the kids in cages basically should have never been there, and just just our history in this country that basically never wanted us but needed us to build it. So
Okay. What are your thoughts? If I could swing that question your way, poem.
Uh, I mean, I personally would like to see, presidents that ain't, in their 70s, and leading this country more. I think Obama I mean, just sheer age and, I think is perfect. I think we need to have leaders that, are still highly functional and not necessarily toward the end of, their lives leading us. I've always been kind of, more militant with how I feel about my position as a black man in this country and what needs to happen for us to feel safe and feel, like we need to feel every day. And I really feel like it's going to be something that we have to go out there and get for ourselves. Like when the election was going on, I was just religiously saying, vote for yourself. When the inauguration happened a couple days ago, and everybody was happy, and the optics, and how everything looked to them was like, all right, this is a change. The first thing I said was, all right, we'll see, when the next time a cop is up for indictment or whatever, we'll see if he's let off. Because to me,
Right.
if if what we are constantly having to find ourselves complaining about as Black people is people getting killed by cops, and if none of it's changing, and if elected officials can't even change it, the president can't change it, then that means to me that our problems are going to persist, and that we
Right.
then have to be the ones to go about changing it. So I think anything was better than what we had. So the important thing was to remove the cancer that already existed in the Oval Office. That was your first. I mean, that's the first thing that you really want to, no matter how messed up it seems, or how. I mean, because I personally, I don't trust any politician, but I feel like certain politicians, like Trump, like that had to be removed. But that being said, he was so outspoken and outright about how much of an a-hole he was, that it made other presidents who were also awful seem like pretty good candidates.
Right. Very
Like,
tame.
if you put Trump up against like a George Bush, who was also an awful president, you would probably welcome George Bush in comparison to Trump. And that's
get to the White House.
That's dangerous. It's like
Right.
if I had to choose between Trump and Ronald Reagan, who's worse? I don't know, but you probably would put Reagan back in the White House. So
a lesser of two evils
yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Appreciate your take. Because I know as a writer, stage performer, your passion is expressing the urban condition.
Yes.
One of the things that you wish is to address the external and internal conflicts that influence our psyche, and also serve as a positive beacon to inspire your supporters to believe in themselves and tackle doubt and low self-esteem that often contributes to the minimization of people's potential, like particularly in the urban communities. And it's funny because you just mentioned trying to empower those who brought those kinds of conversations to you by letting them know you to vote for yourself, look to yourself in a sense to be the one that saves yourself in a way, or if I'm not misquoting or misrepresenting what you're saying.
No, if I may expand upon that, it's really that the more power you give to someone else for your circumstances, it takes away the power you have to change them. And so to me, it would be like an admission of helplessness or hopelessness on my part to be like, all right, no matter what I do, no matter how many degrees I get, no matter how hard I, work at my job, no matter how accountable I am, no matter how forthright and honest and decent of a person I am, I have no chance of doing anything out here. And I just feel like that mindset, attitude breeds laziness. If you know that there's nothing that you can do, you probably ain't going to do as much if that's how you think about the situation.
Right.
So I don't like to say, oh, it's all white men's fault. I like to be like, nah, I have some accountability too.
Absolutely.
Thereby, it ain't just, quote unquote him that's, kind of dangling like a puppet on a string or whatever, or her, that I actually have some
onus.
I have some say so and onus for how my life is going to go, no matter what impediment, or perceived impediment exists,
Right.
in the path. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to say this. I'm happy that you actually brought that question up. But so I want to say over the past poem about 10 months, you and I have had several debates about this. About the climate of this country and just everything that's going on.
Yeah, since the summertime, really. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And the funny thing is, I feel like we're not going to receive any change until we start owning stuff, because money talks and bullshit walks.
Yes.
And when we have assets and money behind our word and just our worth to this country, then we will start making some headway in this country. in all honesty. And I think
Absolutely,
if
I
a lot
agree.
of people, yeah, and I think if a lot of people realize that, instead of buying Jordans, you would be investing in some stocks and buying some property and putting down and basically putting it down.
Man, I think if you're done, Nicole, I didn't mean to cut your wisdom if you were still talking.
I'm good.
Um, no, but what she's saying, I think that's like on the precipice of a larger issue that I feel again has nothing to do with white people. It has everything to do with our self worth or our sense of identity. And I'm not saying it from an outsider perspective. I was inside of it because I feel like we're all inside of it when we grow up poor in ghettos. The optics of things start to take precedent over the substantive value of what your decisions are going to bear you for your future. I know when I was a kid, teenager, to be cool, you had to be X. You had to look like Y and Z.
Right.
But you didn't have Y and Z money. So
Yeah.
I mean that for a lot of kids that led to poor decision. How can I get this money fast? How can I don't care how I get the money. I don't care if I gotta rip people off, that's what I'll do, that type of stuff, but so to get a sense of identity and self-worth about your situation is like, I'm still valuable even if I'm not wearing this $1,000 outfit. I'm not, but a lot of kids, they eat that stuff up. Kids from from the ghettos, they grew up without nothing. They don't know what it's like to have anything, so we spend frivolously. We'll pay down a iPhone 11, the phone be paid off, and we turn right around and then buy iPhone 12 and put it on the finance plan and be paying off. It's just to say that we got the newest whatever. We'll go out and buy a car or tell people in our music, oh, if you ain't buy this car outright, then you ain't nothing. Like that type of stuff. Like, so I'm gonna spend $250,000 $1,000,000 on a Bugatti or something like that. And now I own the car, but the car is depreciating the minute that I buy it.
Absolutely.
So it's less worth, or I'll get like a Maybach or whatever and be the one driving it, even though I'm really supposed to be the guy in the back seat and I can't even hire a driver. You know what I'm saying? It's things like that.
Yeah.
Right. It's insanity.
It's insanity. And we have to answer for that ourselves.
Right.
But what's crazy? Not to cut you off. What's crazy? So I was looking at some listings for like Jordans and stuff like that, and it absolutely blows my mind because people are spending like $700 and $800. You can go to the real estate auction, the sheriff's auction in Newark, and buy a house that's in foreclosure for $100. That will basically be worth more to you than that pair of sneakers, which basically goes out of style like in a couple of months.
Yeah, I've seen
very deep.
I've seen people with. A friend of mine got killed. He was a young entrepreneur. Ran his own sneaker business. He had just opened his first sneaker store in Rawway, and some kids posted up outside, waiting for him to leave one night, and shot him. Then I remember reading about these kids. When the new Jordans come out, and people are outside waiting with tents and waiting outside the store for 7-8 hours, and these other kids kind of approached this kid that just stood outside in the cold in Pennsylvania for like maybe 6 or 7 hours. Came up and followed him and robbed him and shot him.
Wow.
Took the sneakers, So it's crazy. I mean, but it's not unlike anything that I don't know exactly when or what changed in me. I guess I got to a point in my mid-20s where all of a sudden a lot of things that I didn't have. I didn't have a license. I had a nice car. Somebody broke into the car and stole it. I had a nice car and I was living in my grandmother's basement, and you start to realize getting up into your 30s or whatever that, damn, how wasteful was I trying to pursue, an identity, and how much value did I add to myself by wearing other people's names? It was other people's names that made me worth something.
Right.
You know, Versace made me worth something. You know, and on down the list, Tom Ford made me worth something.
It's funny
You
as you.
know, yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt. What one thing that comes to mind is a video that I had watched some years ago with Mariah Kwesi and Ashra Kwesi. These are two sort of historians that now put together trips that they take with groups to Africa, different parts to see the pyramids, certain temples, and so forth. And I remember a video that she had put together. I think it was called. What was the name of that? The mental. What was the name of it? It was about the. I think that's where I heard the term walking billboard. Walking billboard. Having all the name brand and so on and so forth, and you're just a walking billboard. And it's funny because that definitely still happens today, where I think we're in an identity crisis. Black people are in an identity crisis. And part of that identity crisis happens because we're not seeing each other. And what I mean by that is we don't really see the value that poem alluded to earlier. That value is missing in many cases. So we don't see each other unless we appear a certain way. As you said earlier, if you don't have certain kicks or whatever in school, you were played, you were teased, and so on and so forth. One thing that I thought about was Frantz Fanon, as you guys were speaking, and one of the things that I believe it was Frantz Fanon, where he talks about Black people or Africans or people of African descent trying so hard to be like white people, be like Europeans, in all the ways you can be like another group of people, and to the point where it's to their detriment, right? Rather than just being yourself and going back to yourself, finding self, appreciating, loving, knowing self, and just being you. He's saying that's really where it's at, but we are caught up. And another thing that came to mind was I remember post the first Reconstruction, sometime after 1865, where there were a couple Africans, a couple former slaves that were in town. They had some money, and because they were now freed and still dealing with the pressures, they actually ended up getting killed because they ended up spending money on themselves, right? So it's like, oh, you're walking around, looking all uppity and this and that. So in many ways, you still have that context in which you kind of have to function and fight and experience that resistance because it's the dominant culture. But I fully agree, and it's a actual back and forth that I've had at times with close friends and stuff, where I think there's definitely an onus on the part of Black people when it comes to solving the problem. I don't think Black people are the ones with the problem. There's no evidence for that. But yet still, it's important for us to get back to us as we navigate through racism, white supremacy. Just being able to rely on each other and that sort of thing. And earlier when Melodic mentioned economics, and I was looking at the Blueprint for Black Power earlier today by Amos Wilson, and it talks about the over $500 billion that we actually make from our spending, yet take home very little of it. I think there's a lot of moving parts to really navigate in these troubled waters, but conversations are good. Getting different takes are good. Seeing where we're at, I think, is really, really important.
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say. So I appreciate this type of dialogue.
Right. You know what's funny? So, okay, I mean, I think we all have our vices. I think we're all works in progress. So, I have an affinity for designer bags. But the way that I look at it and I think about it, I like designer bags that have a high resale value.
Mm.
So that when I'm dead and gone, they'll still have some value. And if my kids wanted to sell them, they could sell them and put whatever they made off of that towards whatever they needed to put, towards whatever. Um, that's how I look at things. I look at, okay, what's the resale value for this or whatever. Okay, now so they could actually make almost all of the money back on this, and that would be fine. Or if I ever got into a situation where that those were there, so I look at them to a certain degree as assets because they do
Mm-hmm.
have high resale values, and that's how I make my moves. In all honesty, when I do actually want to get something that I feel is a vice per se,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'll also
Mm-hmm.
go to Walmart and get a whole $8 sweatsuit, and I'm fine. I'm warm. It's cute. It's nice, and I love it. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I pride myself on not having to get validation for what
Mm-hmm.
someone else thinks about what I have or what I'm wearing. Nah, I'm wearing pants and a shirt. I'm warm. It does the
Mm-hmm.
job.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
so important to definitely keep that perspective because folks will have you spending money you don't have. Um, there's actually a quote. It says, "What we spend money we don't have to impress people we don't
don't
like."
like. I know that's right.
Enough of that. Enough of that.
And that's a real thing too. That's a real thing because like when I would get dressed, I wouldn't be thinking to myself, I wonder if my grandmother's gonna like me in this outfit. Like you always thinking about
Mm.
because you know that your grandmother or your father or they knew you when you ain't had nothing. So there's nothing you
Hello.
really could do to impress them.
Exactly.
So when you go and get dipped, you're not thinking about, and no, and really, and truthfully, nor are you thinking about white people. If you're black, like I wouldn't be thinking about. I wonder, if this, Wall Street broker in Soho is gonna like my outfit.
Right.
I would be thinking, I want, this guy that is my friend, or I think is my friend, or this girl that I like, or or lust, or
Mhm.
whatever. I want them to notice it, but you never be thinking of because you know, I no matter what I do or don't do, they're gonna be impressed by me because they got love for me. You trying to earn the love that you don't have or that you think
Mm.
you don't have, from other people.
Right.
But it's just it's you can go back to survival of the fittest days, man. If you're the one that's perceived to have something that other people don't have or have access to things that other people don't have access to, yeah, you become a target.
Absolutely.
You a target.
You are absolutely right.
I think it ties back in this issue of identity. I think if we had the correct knowledge of self, and we had the right self-esteem, the correct self-esteem, a lot of things we wouldn't really be dealing with, right? Your grandma sees value in you beyond, she sees beyond your clothes. Like you
Absolutely.
can't put on no clothes to impress grandma. What
Absolutely.
you mean? You can be humble. You can show kindness. Like this,
Absolutely.
it's a different thing because we have now identified with things that other people value, and because we value them, and we value them. I don't. I'm fighting this urge to to make this show um heavy on a certain thing, but it is what it is. Like we value things that other people value, things that may not be necessarily valuable to us, and they value it because they've already objectified it, right? They don't really connect you with what you have to offer. That's why come they can they can copy your lips and then tell you ugly and then tell you your lips are big. That's how come they can take your music, then don't cast you for a show or don't create a plot. Like the way racism, white supremacy works, and so refined and so efficient is that for me, I see it shatters identity, yo. It can causes a lot of confusion. And when we again not really seeing what we're seeing the value where we need to be seeing the value, we will be easily led astray, doing all kinds of things. Absolutely. These are good conversations to have. I like having them on my platform. I don't really like to pretend things are always okay. Like this is the real. Like, sure, again, an administration just turned over, but that doesn't mean like anybody's out of the woods, or you don't have to wake up and deal with what you got to deal with and be your best self and rise to the occasion and all of that stuff. Like, yeah, that feel good. Always want to feel good. Especially history. I need that in context. I need it in context, because that's how I think what we're able to move forward is with truth, even though sometimes that truth is hurt and it hurts and it's painful, right? Because it sometimes reveals things that you're just not doing right. You may just not be doing something right. But yeah, indeed. As we touch on entrepreneurship, I was gonna segue with Poem, because this brother, he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He's founder and co-host of Urban Arts event entitled Rebel Series, but you're also co-owner, Poem, and chief editor of Rebel Inc. Publishing.
Yeah.
I want to know if you could just tell us a little bit about that, and then share another piece for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see, which part? We want to start at the occupation, the company, or the art series. I don't know. When I started the art series, it was as a part of like a 5 or 6 person group.
Okay.
I had met the owners of this facility in Newark that does different, like, spoken word events and things like that. Stumbled upon it because I got cool with one of the people that ran it. They offered me a feature spot for a show.
Okay.
I called that show Rebel Series.
Okay.
A month or two later, I was still hanging around the venue and come and hang out and everything like that. And we all got together and came with what I did. Let's put together a team and let's, make a weekly show. So we were going back and forth, batting back ideas about what the show should be called. And I thought about my feature spot and like, how about Rebel Series? Series of different open mic events that was really geared towards freedom of expression to the maximum level, to have uncensored, unfiltered forms of art of all kinds,
Okay.
So we was like, let's call it the Rebel Series. And that's how it began. It ran like a year. Started having internal differences. People couldn't get on the same page about different things. And we ended up disbanding that particular group. But then a friend of mine, came to me and like, man, that was a great thing we were doing with the Rebel Series. Are you still interested in doing it? And I was like, okay, what you got in mind? And, where would we find a venue? And we solved both those problems, and me and him started doing, our version of Rebel Series, which went on for another year or so.
Okay.
And then I really had to start focusing on work and making money. Like the shows were great, but there was never a consistent, number that we can like kind of retire off of. Yeah.
Yeah.
The numbers would fluctuate of people that came, and then we still had to pay the venue. No matter if we made $0 or we made $1,000 in a night, we had to bring that down.
Yes.
So I just started focusing on working and saving, so that I can really, really put more into my book projects and everything like that. When I was publishing my first 2 books, I saw some of the practices that were being applied and realized that a lot of the things that I'm paying people to do as far as publishing services that I can learn myself and cut out the middleman so that I won't have to be paying all of this money in publishing and print fees and things like that, and editorial fees. Like you can learn the stuff yourself.
Right.
And then so I did, and we started Rebel Wing Publishing in the summer of 2018. Me and that same guy I was doing the shows with.
Dope.
So that's where we at
That's
now.
amazing.
Yeah, man, you're gonna inspire a lot of people to do just the same. Yeah.
My third, you had mentioned the World as I See It book first when you were introducing me. That's actually the book that's about to come out here in March, April.
Oh, okay.
That'll be like the seventh book under the publishing company. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic.
So since 2018.
Do you have a target for the year for the publishing company?
Don't have a target, man. Especially now because things are so. I lost at least like 5 contracts
because of the situation.
COVID alone, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that's still great, man.
So as long as I can get some people just interested in reading, reading and doing books, we have to look at I try to look at it like when your favorite artist does their CD. Like to me, my book is like my CD. You know what I'm saying? So I want to put everything into it, and the poetry. Each poem is a different track. So
yeah.
I want to make it cool to read again. I want to make reading fun and innovative and experience because it's kind of becoming antiquated a little bit, particularly if you're reading by book. I want to make that a cool experience for people again.
I love that, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. And then when I think about you being an educator and with that kind of vision, I just love it because you see where the influence is going to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I love it, bro. So we have probably about 14 more minutes. I'm going to ask you if you can, Poem, to share another piece for us. And then I would love to see if we can get a quick round of trivia going. And then we'll wrap up our show.
Okay. All right. This poem is a poem I do really dealing with me and my father's relationship and things that he experienced after my mother was murdered in 1987. I was 2 years old. My father was in the Army. And they had just got back together. They were having problems. And they had just reconciled when she went out, take a friend to the bus stop, and they neither of them returned. They both were found murdered on the roof of a building in the hillside. I was 2 years old, and my father's life from that point was never the same. To this day, he's sober and he actually lives in the Bronx currently. But the potential for his life and his life in relationship to mine, it all changed after that happened. So I do a poem called it's called "The You and Me," talking about my father and I.
Okay.
Let me see. The you and me is evident. From birth, we were like doppelgangers. Though my eyes and cheeks mirror Penny Eudora's keeping her alive, I was a teenager with pen in hand, running from a reality I couldn't stand, the face of a junkie who in my youth I was ashamed to call my dad, my friends, with families and dads who signed them up for Pee-wee and clapped hands and trained in off seasons and lifted weights and talked about girls and sex on father-son dates. Instead, I used to visit you in the Integrity House behind steel gates. We shot makeshift basketballs into bottomless crates. You were a Superman with invisible cape, lean and strong and army tough with unmistakable name. Sonny were the days where the screen door would rattle and I would run smiling, recognizing the familiar bang. I would hang on East Orange hard streets on same corners where you would slang identified by old heads who saw our face the same. Ain't you Omar's boy? Your friends Mark and Sharif exclaimed, acting like we lived together. But in reality, I saw you rarely. When you were sober enough, you came. By grandma's screen, she placed tightly folded bills in your hand. As quick as you hugged me and said, I love you, son, the door would coldly slam. So many fathers on drugs. So many sons like me running from who I am, but it never changed with book publications or college degrees. I, too, laid addicted to my depression, sparking addictive personality. Praise Lords. Whoever was responsible for keeping you above ground on days where pain sounded like downpours, the thud of liquid drops on project mounds inside me. I heard father's heart pound, husband to a murdered wife. Suspect for 2 years, I used to visit you in dank one-bedroom apartment, building rife with shady characters and empty cans of beer. I feared being a bum. The vibes and energy that other family members would give when you were around was palpable. Harsh judgments that would resound, but what I remember, push-ups on back, 50 a clip, lifting a 5-year-old that weighed 55 pounds. That was your strength before my mother's body was found. I love you. No matter how much of you this cold world took from me, you still my pops. And at 32, I finally learned to stop running from the you and me. For my father, Sonny Juan Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful.
Very much so, yeah, brother. Heal, indeed. Tasha said, heal, brother.
I'm on my way.
Indeed, man. Indeed. May the Creator just guide you on that journey so those wounds could never open up again, man. That's powerful. Wow. I admire poets' ability to tap in, get so personal, reveal so much. Wow. Was it a very like therapeutic and cathartic, like did you find that to be a healing experience for you, going through writing, putting that piece together?
Surprisingly for most, I would say no. I don't think I could write and just take people to a place, where they could smell the chitlins cooking in the pot.
Mm-hmm.
They can smell the greens on the stove. They can feel the atmosphere, But for me personally, that was my gift to everybody else. For myself, I can't even. It's just my ability of recounting these memories,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I'll ever get over any of what happens to me. You kind of just let the lump in your throat kind of swell up and sift off to the side, and maybe you digest it and go into the pit of your stomach, and you just carry on the rest of your day with the lump there.
Wow.
You learn how to just deal and accept shit for what it is and not what you wish it to be. And that's kind of my, that's how I take for my mother and father and friends and ex-girlfriends.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like we're a little over the 2-hour mark. We started a little after 7. So the live stream is ending. It's actually gonna try to end. Can I have you guys? We're tied up actually, so we're gonna have to figure this out.
Okay.
Or you can actually have both of us on the internet.
And
magazine.
I might be able to do that actually. That might be something I could do. Yeah, that'd be a first. That'd be
That would be dope because I feel like we definitely both want to be heard. To tell you
yes, and you both deserve to be heard.
Thank you.
Okay. And it's official. It is tied up. So it's not like it is tied up. So you guys both played a great game. I want to ask you as we're wrapping up that last minute to please share whatever you'd like further with the listeners, where they can get your information, get your merchandise if that's the case. Anything. What you got coming up? I'll start with you, Melodic Storm.
Alrighty.
Got about 20 seconds.
Okay, you can find me at Melodic Storm on Instagram, and you can purchase my book, Lyrics of My Heart, on Amazon.com. Thank you. So humbled to be here.
Thank you. And Poem, real quick.
I have a book entitled The World as I See It, due to be released March, April, the latest. I have 2 other publications that are going to be coming out around the same time. My social media platforms, as I'm typing it out now. Yeah, I was saying my given name for Facebook is Elliot, ELLIOTT, F as in Frank, ANT. Yeah, that was it. That's where you can find me on social media. Link me on social media, and I'll give you out emails and things like that as well, if people are interested.
Yes. All right. That's what's up. Fantastic. appreciate that. Okay, so that does bring our game to a close. Game tied up at 3 points. Both of these poets tonight are going to be featured. God's Ink, welcome. God's Ink just joined the studio live, and he is the creator of the magazine that I was just mentioning. So yeah, God's Ink, we're going to actually have both poets featured in the next issue of the magazine, because we actually tied up tonight. Yeah, between the game and the really unctuous, yummy conversation tonight, we have two dynamic artists that are both more than deserving to be featured in Spilled Ink. So they will be there. Thank you for tuning in, brother. I appreciate it. And as well, thank you, everybody, for hanging out. As always, please bless up yourself. Email the podpoetslounge@gmail.com if you're interested in being a guest on the show. And you can always vibe live right here. Our next show is February 13th, Saturday, 7 to 9 Eastern time again. I want to thank Poem and Melodic Storm for stopping by. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. This was amazing.
I was
really
honored.
enjoyed it.
I'm so happy to hear that. That was the mission for sure. Y'all dropped some serious heat, and for that, the floor is lava.
Thank you.
Yes. Y'all are seriously dope. You're welcome, man. I appreciated the vibe so much. Thank you guys for chilling in the lounge. As always, I appreciate the inspiration and the passion. I love that flows through this space. It's really, again, the poets, you guys, that make it what it is. So it's really a pleasure having you guys each on the show, evidenced by the smile on my face. Stay safe, stay positive, and take good care. Peace.
Peace. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Blessings. My pleasure. Catch the Pod Poets Lounge every other Saturday from 7 to 9 Eastern Time. Come vibe with me and these cool poets and professionals. Check out the Spilled Ink February issue for the works of Melodic Storm and Poem. Go follow them on Instagram, along with the Ink magazine for all things spoken word, where you can also play exclusive Pod Poets trivia every month. Check us out, the Pod Poets Lounge, on all social media. We appreciate the love and support. Big up yourself. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.